Hello, it's Jeannie. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Today I am really excited again. We just made our plane reservations for our spring trip and a fall trip for 2023 to Europe. Let's talk more about some travel tips and particularly traveling with friends. I'm very excited that we've actually made our plans concrete and got our tickets for the spring to fly to Germany. And we'll be there for a couple of weeks visiting our German friends in Ulm. We love the town of Ulm, and we've been going there for 30-something years. One of the things we're going to be doing after, say, a few days, 4 or 5 days in Ulm, so we're going to drive down to what's called the Bodensee, the Lindau area. And for my friends in German, you know where that is and how beautiful it is. And you can look up all around you and see the Alps and the German Alps, the Swiss Alps, Austrian Alps, that whole range. And it's just beautiful. And the springtime, we're hoping, will bring beautiful weather. And then we're going to go up into Austria. I forget where, but our friend Wolfie has some fantastic plans for us. So we're really excited for that. And what do we have on the schedule next? That is going to be a trip to Italy, the Lucca and Florence area. And then we'll be there for about, I think we were there for almost 2 weeks. And then, no, a little bit less, maybe 10 days. Then we're heading up to Switzerland. And we're going to do some biking and visit the town of where one of our friends used to live. This trip, we are going with 3 other couples, and that is going to be the topic of this video, traveling with friends. Now, we're not in our 20s. I know, newsflash. And so there are a lot of travel tips my husband and I have garnered along the way, along the path, along the years, when we've traveled with friends and when we've traveled alone. So I want to go over some of those tips. The first thing when you are considering traveling with friends is to do your homework. Where is it you're going? Learn everything you can about the place, because, and I'll tell you in a minute, you want to be able to have knowledge about where you're going so that you can be a part of the decision making. Nobody wants to have someone whose opinion doesn't count, who never makes a vote for something. And everybody's opinion counts. So know where you're going, study up a little bit, and have a voice in the conversation. Now, my husband and I, for years and years and years, have loved Rick Steves. We've got so many, of Europe through the back door, and then various, so this is Switzerland. We've got the Italian ones, Italy books. We've got lots and lots of Rick Steves guidebooks. And, he's done the homework. He knows a lot of these travel tips. Because it's going to be 4 of us, we are renting a villa in Lucca. And I'm so excited about this. This villa is just beautiful. And with 4 couples, it makes it very affordable. So it's a nice way to have a luxury vacation and everybody splits the cost. So let's go over some of the travel tips that I've come up with that I think you should consider if you want to travel with friends. One of the first things is consider personality styles. If somebody is, say, super active and wants to go hiking and biking every day, that's going to be difficult to accommodate for the group. So consider personality styles, activity level styles. And it's not that they have to be identical. It's just that you kind of have to gel if you're going to be staying in closed quarters for 2-3 weeks with somebody. And you just want to make sure that you choose wisely. Now, before plans are made, you should be having many meetings, dinners, going out together, lots of discussions, lots of time together to really see, do we all gel? Or is there somebody who kind of stands out as I don't know that I could spend a lot of time with that person. So figure that out first before you start planning. So come up with a travel itinerary that is broad and general and flexible, because you don't want to be held to a rigid format for 2-3 weeks. So something that is broad and general. So since we are going to be based in Lucca, we've all kind of submitted little things that we want to do, and now we may not all do those things, but we're going to prioritize, and because a lot of those overlap, and that's fantastic. Now, our itinerary also allows for alone time, which is very important. So my husband and I might want to take off for a day and, just do something on our own. We're going to have a car, but with 8 people, you don't want to just take the car and take off and leave 6 of them stranded. So it's a van, actually. So you may want to say, you know what, I'm going to rent a car for a couple of days and we are going to do these things. So it's really about being accommodating. Yes, your needs can be met, but when you're traveling with others, you really have to have a spirit of being accommodating. So, now, it isn't that you have a leader per se, but having someone who tends to take charge and wants to be the leader, and they're kind of designated as someone who will say, put the spreadsheet together of all the activities that everybody's agreed on or has priced things out. Now, within our group of 8, we do have someone who just loves doing that, and so that's great for us. And it isn't that our opinion doesn't matter. He is just willing to be the one who organizes it. That's what he loves to do, and that's fine with all of us. So, having a designated leader is a good idea. Oh, here's something to discuss as well. And one of the benefits for us in having a villa is talking about and deciding, who gets the biggest room. See, in a villa, we're all going to have kind of a master suite with its own bathroom and shower. Nobody has to share. See, now, when you get to our age category, things like that matter. I'm not going to sleep in some bunk bed. I can't be climbing up and down in the middle of the night. And, you'd be hearing yowls of pain, I'm sure. So that's a point of discussion. A couple of other things that are really important to discuss are finances. When you're traveling with someone, you want to make sure that you're kind of all in the same category of financial strengths, so that you're not going out to dinner and having a big expensive dinner and someone can't afford that. So that's really important when it comes to choosing your group. And even so, the important thing to talk about with regard to finances, are you going to be cooking? Are you going to be going out? What kinds of restaurants? How much are you willing to budget for food and going out and entertainment? So those are things to get out of the way before you pick your group, and as you all decide on a trip. Those are things to have really understood well. So I talked about a list of the things that you want to do and being flexible about that, but what are your must-sees? What are your must-dos? What are your must-haves? So think about those and communicate those. And if it's not going to be what everyone else wants to do, maybe that's one of your alone days, and that's okay. Here's an important one. Social media. If you're taking photos and posting on Instagram or Facebook and you're taking pictures of people, are they okay with that? I typically think that gals want to approve their photo before it's put on someone's social media page. I don't want a picture of me shoving a hamburger in my mouth and, looking all goofy, or, as you know, if you've watched me for a while, my face is very expressive. I try to tone it down for these videos, but typically, my eyes are doing funny things, my face makes, funky faces, and a moment in time captured by a camera can make me look really goofy, and I don't necessarily want that plastered on social media. So figure out, is it okay that I'm taking your photos and posting them, and do you want approval? Now, my husband doesn't care what he looks like. He'd rather look better than worse, but just make sure you get that cleared up before you start doing it. Learn to go with the flow. Being super opinionated, being super rigid, in and of itself, those things don't make a great traveler. You really want to be able to just be flexible. Stuff happens. Travel plans don't always, or I should say they rarely go as planned 100% of the time. So learn if something doesn't work out, if a plane has a mechanical issue, if a train breaks down, if luggage is lost. Just chill. It's gonna be okay. Nobody's gonna die from that. Okay? So be flexible. Go with the flow. If 3 of the couples really want this, then just go with it. Okay? You know, being a mom of lots of kids, I've learned how to juggle personalities and make sure that everybody feels that they've got a little bit of skin in the game, and that's important. So, manage expectations, yours as well as for the group. For the group I'm traveling with, we're all very seasoned travelers. So we know what Europe is like, we know what travel is like. But if we were going with somebody who had never traveled before, their expectations of travel might be different than ours and what we know based on experience. So make sure that's one of the things you decide on when you pick your group to travel with. Think about your sleeping habits. Are you an early riser? Are you a night owl? Are you, now, again, in our age category, most of us like to get to bed relatively early, and we're pretty early risers. We know that ahead of time. So that's something you need to decide on, though, when you're traveling with a group, with friends for the first time. Okay? Because now we're all going to have our own rooms, and they're nice, big, spacious, comfy rooms and with bathrooms. But what if we had to sleep together or in close proximity for some reason? Does someone snore? Does someone sleep restlessly? You know, those are things to think about or ask. That might be a good group discussion to have over dinner before you take your trip. Hey, does anybody here snore? Okay, if any of us, snores, figure that out ahead of time. Are you a planner or are you spontaneous? Okay, those are good questions to ask of the group. Having too many planners can get a little tough. So, again, flexibility. Flexibility is the key. What is fun for you, and what do you try to avoid? Okay, know that ahead of time. Here's a good one. How long does it take you to get ready for something? And I don't want to be sexist, but typically that's a gal thing, but not always. If you know you need to be catching a train by 10 a.m., which means you need to be there, say, an hour beforehand or half hour beforehand, does somebody take forever to get ready? Important to know. How much planning do you need to do for the group to be making your deadlines? Okay. Does smoking or drinking bother you? Very important to know. Are you with smokers? Are you with drinkers? My group, our group, we all drink wine and other drinks, once in a while. I'm a 2-glass person limit. 3 and I'm sound asleep, so 2 is my limit, luckily. In Europe, less now than days gone by. It used to be everywhere you went, there was smoke, cigarette smoke everywhere. It's much better now, but if you're somewhere where there is cigarette smoke, is it going to be a no-go situation? For me, I don't care for cigarette smoke, but I don't care, you know. If I have to sit through a dinner and there is smoking around, that's okay with me. I grew up with a dad who smoked Camel non-filters, and it's okay. As I said with alone time, if you're going to take designated alone time, which I do suggest on lengthy trips, plan it so that you know where to meet up, when to meet up, how to meet up. Okay, be very clear about where you're going and what you're doing and when you'll be back. Don't just take off. Be very responsive and responsible to the group, accountable. You don't just want to disappear in Europe and not have them know where you are. Thankfully, with cell phones nowadays, it's much easier, but there are places in the Alps without cell phone service. So think about that and be responsible with your accountability. Okay? Are you an adventurer or a relaxer? Now, we've got our activities planned, and some of those do involve biking, but they're going to be electric bikes. Yay, yay, I'm so happy. Because I've got a bad knee. So we'll do some hiking, and there are some of us who are going to be slow hikers, and some who, you know what, will meet you up ahead, see you in a couple miles. Okay. Food restrictions. Do you have any dietary concerns that everybody needs to know about? Are you going to have anaphylactic shock if somebody throws peanuts into something? Our daughter just had that happen with a coworker, and they were out to lunch, and she ate something that she didn't know had peanuts in it, and it started, and our daughter had to drive her to the emergency room. So, not fun. So, figure that out ahead of time as well. Do you have any medical issues that others need to know about? Again, in our age category, you want to get that stuff out ahead of time. You know, when you're a little younger, perhaps you don't have as many, but I'm very grateful that the group we're traveling with, we're all pretty healthy and active and in, pretty fit shape. But it's a question you need to have answered before you go. Another really important aspect is your emergency contact list. If something does happen to you while you're traveling, what are your friends supposed to do? So, emergency names, phone numbers, doctors' names, medication lists, insurance information, all those things need to be on a master sheet and shared with the group. So no one plans on an accident. No one plans on an emergency. You don't. So make sure that they know who to contact, what insurance information to give, what to do should there be an accident, whether it's a broken arm or something more serious. So, and they do happen, They've happened to us. So, anyway, I'm really excited. I've never spent time in Switzerland, and I've never spent time in Florence, that area, Lucca. So I'm really excited about this, and we've got a great group of people going, various backgrounds and personalities, but I think we all gel wonderfully. So that is my little talk for you today, and some of the general tips that I've come up with for you to think about with regard to traveling with friends. I appreciate you all. I appreciate hearing from you who live abroad, and I'm very excited about this, and I may have more videos coming up as we make more plans. So for now, I'm going to sign off, and I bid you so much peace, wellness, and love. Thank you for all your support. Bye.